Jai Shri Shri Radha Gokunanda Ki Jai Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Ki Jai Shri Shri Gauranitai Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prajayine Nishesha Sunyavadi Bhaskacharishataine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Radhe. Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Shri Shri Radha Gokunanda ki Jai, Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ki Jai, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So thank you very much. If everyone could please sit down now, finish drinking their prayers. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So the Aarti has not concluded. We will now do the Prem Dhwani prayers. So everyone can please fold their hands together. And whenever I say ki, you can respond with Jai. Shall we try that? Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtotara Shat Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki ISKCON Samsthapakacharya, Savior of the whole world, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtotara Shat Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य श्रीला हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की गंगा माई यमुना माई की वृंद देवी तुलसी महारानी की सामवेद भक्त वृंद की हरिनाम संकीर्तन महायज्ञ की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. Now respond with Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Okay, so now we are going to sing Narsimha prayers, because Lord Narsimha Dev is very, very powerful. And so this is for the protection of you and your family. The lyrics are on the screen above. So I'll sing first and you can respond. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahalad Narsimha Varato Narsimho Yato Yato Yamitato Narsimha Bahir Narsimho Hridaye Narsimho Bahir Narsimho Hridaye Narsimho Narasimha Madev Sharanam Prapade 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 Tavakara Kamala Varena Kam Adbhuta Shringam Dalitam Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Tava Dalita Hiranyakashipu Jaya Narsimha Dev Narsimha Dev Narsimha Dev Jaya Narsimha Dev Jaya Jaya Narahare 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 Jaya Narahare Jaya Radha Gokula Nanda Radha Gokula Nanda Radha Gokula Nanda Shri Radhe Jaya Narahare 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 Jaya Narahare Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Narsimhadev Bhagavan ki Prahlad Maharaj Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki.
Hare Krishna, everybody. So nice to see you here on this Tuesday afternoon at Bhaktivedanta Manor. So some prasadam will now be served in the Haveli. If anyone is hungry, you're welcome to go there. If you're not sure where that is, you can ask anyone that looks like they know, but I will tell you now. You come out the entrance here in the reception and walk around this way as I'm pointing. And you will go down the steps to the courtyard. Yes, and the prasadam is on your right hand side. Okay? Meanwhile, in the temple room, we're going to be reading from Krishna book. Yes, and talking about the narrations of Lord Krishna and sharing his glories. This is a wonderful opportunity to hear about the Lord. And Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, he was especially desirous that people have an opportunity to hear about Krishna when they come to the temple. So you're welcome to stay and listen to that and reflect and ask questions if you would like. And if you're hungry, you can always go for prasadam at the Haveli and return here when you've eaten. Okay, thank you so much. Haribol. Chakshurum tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamayam Dharati Swaparantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Vijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Namo Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prishta Vitale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachayana Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtatare Shatayana. Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Namo Vishnu Pada Krishna Vrishta Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Pancha Tattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Surata Bhangor Mamamanda Matergati Matsarvasvabadam Bhoja Rathamadana Divyat Vrindaran Yukalpadrumadha Srimadadnagara Simhasanastam Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Deva Prishtalibi Sevyamana Smarami Sriman Rasarasarami Vamshivatatastita Karshan Venu Svanar Gopir Gopinata Shri Stumaya Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivedanta Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
No, you didn't pick that up, Monica. See you. See you. Oh, happy birthday. Oh, yes. Happy birthday. Just keep listening. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Very well.
Nice to see you again.
I'm good. Thank you, Kishore. Remind me of the second part of your name. It's Kishore Gokulanandini.
The first one would be that's really good.
Okay. Hare Krishna. So we're continuing reading from Krishna book, and we are on chapter 14. Prayers offered by Lord Brahma to Lord Krishna. Now, let's see, where did we finish last time? Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Okay. So this is Lord Brahma. And this is quite a long chapter. Lord Brahma has many things to say in this regard. He knows that he has done something a little inappropriate by disturbing Krishna's Leela with his friends. And he is sincerely trying to atone in the best possible way by glorifying the Lord and acknowledging his own utterly dependent position. He says, "My dear Lord Krishna, those who deride you claiming that you have a material body like an ordinary man are described in the Bhagavad Gita as demoniac and less intelligent. You are always transcendental. The non-devotees are cheated because they consider you to be a material creation. Actually, you have assumed this body, which exactly resembles that of an ordinary cowherd boy, simply to increase the devotion and transcendental bliss of your devotees." So 2 interesting things are mentioned in this chapter. In this paragraph. Lord Brahma is saying that the demoniac and the less intelligent, they think that Krishna's body is material, like that of an ordinary person. And then he goes on to say that you have assumed this body. So when he says you have assumed this body, we should understand that he has not assumed a material body, because he has already rejected the unintelligent and demoniac notion that Krishna assumes a material body. So when he says actually you have assumed this body simply to increase the devotion and transcendental bliss of your devotees, it means that the Lord has appeared as he is in his own spiritual form to give pleasure to his devotees. The Lord is not limited to one body. He's not limited to one form. He has many forms of incarnation. And he assumes a particular form in order to give pleasure to the devotees who love to see him in that form. He reciprocates with the specific quality of love that they hold for the Lord. So those that are in friendly relation with Krishna as cowherd boys, they always want to see Krishna in his cowherd boy form. His parents, they always want to see him in his Balagopala form. So very much depending on the attitude of devotion of the Ashraya Vigraha, the one who is holding love for the Lord, then Krishna manifests an appropriate form to reciprocate their love. As the Vishaya Vigraha, the supreme object of love. So he takes on the form that is appropriate and reciprocal with the particular love of his devotee. Just like he appeared as Lord Nrsimhadev to reciprocate with the devotion of Prahlad Maharaj. Lord Brahma continues, "My dear Lord, I have nothing to say about people who advertise that they have already realized God, or that by their realization they have themselves become God. But as far as I am concerned, I admit frankly that for me it is not possible to realize you by my body, mind, or speech." So Lord Brahma, the most intelligent person, is admitting frankly that he cannot realize Krishna by his own body, mind, or speech. So indirectly he's saying that those who claim, those who are advertising that they have realized God, or that they realize themselves as God, he's saying that such people are deluded. What can I say about you, or how can I relate you? Or how can I realize you by my senses? I cannot even think of you perfectly with my mind, which is the master of the senses. Your qualities, your activities, and your body cannot be conceived of by any person within the material world. Only by your mercy can one understand, to some extent, what you are. My dear Lord, you are the Supreme Lord of all creation. Although I sometimes falsely think that I am the master of this universe. I may be the master of this universe, but there are innumerable universes. And there are also innumerable Brahmas who preside over these universes. But actually, you are the master of them all. As the Supersoul in everyone's heart, you know everything. Please, therefore, accept me as your surrendered servant. I hope that you will excuse me for committing the great offense of disturbing you in your pastimes with your friends and calves. Now, if you will kindly allow me, I will immediately leave so you can enjoy your friends and calves without my presence. My dear Lord Krishna, everyone can take a mat and take a seat, wherever you like. My dear Lord Krishna, your very name suggests that you are all attractive. The attraction of the sun and the moon are all due to you. By the attraction of the sun, you are beautifying the very existence of the Yadu dynasty. With the attraction of the moon, you are enhancing the potency of the land, the demigods, the brahmanas, the cows, and the oceans. Right? So the sun and the moon, Shashi Shuryayo, these are Krishna's potencies, right? By Krishna's grace, the sun is shining and the moon gives its cooling rays. Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita that I am the light of the sun and the moon. Aham prabhasmi shashi suryayo. Because of your supreme attraction, demons like Kamsa and others are annihilated. Because of your supreme attraction, demons like Kamsa and others are annihilated. Therefore, it is my deliberate conclusion that you are the only worshipable deity within the creation. This sentence has struck me. Because of your supreme attraction, demons like Kamsa and others are annihilated. Can anyone shed light on this sentence? If you cannot, don't worry, because I am also puzzled. By Krishna's supreme attraction, demons like Kamsa and others are annihilated. Therefore, it is my deliberate conclusion that you are the only worshipable deity within the creation. accept my humble obeisances until the annihilation of this material world. As long as there is sunshine within this material world, kindly accept my humble obeisances. In this way, Brahma, the master of this universe, after offering humble and respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and circumambulating him 3 times, was ready to return to his abode, known as Brahmaloka. By his gesture, the Supreme Personality of Godhead gave him permission to return, right? So Krishna gestured to him that he could return to Brahmaloka. As soon as Brahma left, Lord Sri Krishna immediately returned to the bank of the Yamuna and rejoined his calves and cowherd boy friends, who were situated just as they had been on the very day they had vanished. Krishna had left his friends on the bank of the Yamuna while they were engaged in lunch. And although he returned exactly 1 year later, the cowherd boys thought that he had returned within a second. That is the way Krishna's different energies act. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that Krishna himself is residing in everyone's heart, and he causes both remembrance and forgetfulness. All living entities are controlled by the supreme energy of the Lord, and sometimes they remember, and sometimes they forget their constitutional position. What is our constitutional position? Our constitutional position? Anyone knows? Jivara Surapahoy Krishnara Nityadasa Bheda Bhed Tatasta Shakti. Tatasta Shakti Bheda Bhed Prakash. We are eternally servants of Krishna. We're called jivas, and that means we are tiny parts and parcels of the Lord. We are simultaneously the same as Krishna in quality, just as sparks of a fire have the same fiery quality as a fire. But we are different from Krishna in quantity, just like the sparks are never equal in quantity with the complete fire. So this is our position. Tatasta Shakti, marginal energy of Krishna. And we are simultaneously one with Krishna, right, in terms of quality, and different from Krishna in terms of quantity. Yeah, because we are tiny little fragments. Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Mamaivam Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Krishna says, the living entities in this world are my eternal fragmental parts. Right? We are tiny chips off the old block. So, sometimes we remember and sometimes we forget our constitutional position as servants of Krishna eternally. Krishna's friends, being controlled in such a way, could not understand that for 1 whole year they were absent from the Yamuna's bank and were under the spell of Brahma's illusion. When Krishna appeared before the boys, they thought, Krishna has returned within a minute. They began to laugh, thinking that Krishna was not willing to leave their lunchtime company. They were very jubilant and invited him. Dear friend Krishna, you have come back so quickly. All right, we have not as yet begun our lunch, not even taken one morsel of food, so please come and join us and let us eat together. Krishna smiled and accepted their invitation, and he began to enjoy the lunchtime company of his friends. While eating, Krishna was thinking, these boys believe that I have come back within a second, but they do not know that for the last year I have been involved with the mystic activities of Lord Brahma. Right, everything is relative in our perception. The Lord is completely aware that Brahma stole away these boys and calves and put them to sleep. And for 1 whole year, he was himself manifesting as all those boys and calves so that no one would be suspicious. And at the end of that 1 year, when Brahma offered his apologies and worshipped the Lord. Then he returned the boys and calves as they had previously been. But to the boys and the calves, it was just a moment later, and they thought that Krishna could not bear to be separated from them for longer than a minute, and had come back very quickly. So in their perception, they had not even noticed. This is very instructive. We should not think that we are in absolute knowledge of our environment. Our perception is very much relative, and we are ultimately controlled in our perceptive abilities. Therefore, we should not be too much proud of thinking what we know. I think it was Mark Twain who said, it's not what you don't know that can give you problems. It's what you know for sure that just is not so. Yeah? When you know something for sure, but actually it's not factual, that's a problem. So we're controlled very much, especially in our sense activities and our perceptions, and therefore we should attempt to be humble regarding whatever knowledge we may have, knowing that there's so much we may not be aware of, and in fact, there is so much we are certainly not aware of. Okay. After finishing their lunch, Krishna and his friends and calves began to return to their Vrajabhumi homes. While passing, they enjoyed seeing the dead carcass of Aghasura in the shape of a gigantic serpent. When Krishna returned home to Vrajabhumi, he was seen by all the inhabitants of Vrindavana. He was wearing a peacock feather in his helmet, which was also decorated with forest flowers. Krishna was also garlanded with flowers and painted with different colored minerals collected from the caves of Govardhana Hill. Govardhana Hill is always famous for supplying natural red oxides, and Krishna and his friends painted their bodies with them. Each of them, boys like to put on war paint sometimes, yeah? So the boys, they like to paint themselves with the red oxides from Govardhana Hill. Each of them had a bugle made of buffalo horn and a stick and a flute, and each called his respective calves by their particular names. The cowherd boys were so proud of Krishna's wonderful activities that while entering the village, they all sang his glories. All the gopis in Vrindavana saw beautiful Krishna entering the village. The boys composed nice songs describing how they were saved from being swallowed by the great serpent, and how the serpent was killed. Some described Krishna as the son of Yashoda, and others as the son of Nanda Maharaj. They said, "He is so wonderful that he saved us from the clutches of the great serpent and killed him." They said, but little did they know that 1 year had passed since the killing of Aghasura. In this regard, Maharaj Parikshit asked Shukadeva Goswami how the inhabitants of Vrindavana suddenly developed so much love for Krishna, although he was not a member of any of their families. Maharaj Parikshit inquired, during the absence of the original cowherd boys, when Krishna expanded himself, why is it that the boys' parents became more loving toward him than toward their own sons? Also, why did the cows become so loving toward the calves, more than toward their own calves? Shukadeva Goswami told Maharaj Parikshit that every living entity is actually most attached to his own self. Outward paraphernalia such as home, family, friends, country, society, wealth, opulence, and reputation are all only secondary in pleasing the living entity. They please only because they bring pleasure to the self. For this reason, one is self-centered and is attached to his body and self more than he is to relatives like wife, children, and friends. If there is some immediate danger to one's own person, he first of all takes care of himself, then others. That is natural. That means he loves his own self more than anything else. The next important object of affection after his own self is his material body. A person who has no information of the spirit soul is very much attached to his material body, so much so that even in old age he wants to preserve the body in so many artificial ways, thinking that his old and broken body can be saved. Everyone is working hard day and night just to give pleasure to his own self, under either the bodily or spiritual concept of life. We are attached to material possessions because they give pleasure to the senses or to the body. The attachment to the body is there only because the I, the spirit soul, is within the body. Similarly, when one is further advanced, he knows that the spirit soul is pleasing because it is part and parcel of Krishna. Ultimately, it is Krishna who is pleasing and all attractive. He is the super soul of everything. And in order to give us this information, Krishna descends and tells us that the all attractive center is He Himself. Without being an expansion of Krishna, nothing can be attractive. So we're all attracted to different things in this material world, right? And the reason that we're attracted to anything is because it comes from Krishna. Because Krishna is all attractive. And Krishna is the super soul. He is dwelling within everything. The central point of attraction is Krishna. Therefore, anything is attractive or can be attractive. If we find something particularly attractive, it is simply because it is reflecting something of Krishna. Whatever is attractive within the cosmic manifestation is due to Krishna. Krishna is therefore the reservoir of all pleasure. The active principle of everything is Krishna. And highly elevated transcendentalists see everything in connection with Him. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is stated that a Mahabhagavata, or highly advanced devotee, sees Krishna as the active principle in all moving and non-moving living entities. Therefore, he sees everything within this cosmic manifestation in relation to Krishna. For the fortunate, right, so that means everything. He sees everything in this creation in relation to Krishna, which means that he's never forgetful of Krishna. Whatever he's interacting with, whatever he has to work with, whatever he has to relate to, he is aware that this is Krishna's, this is part of Krishna. For the fortunate person who has taken shelter of Krishna as everything, liberation is already there. He is no longer in the material world. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Whoever is engaged in the devotional service of Krishna is already on the Brahma-bhuta, or spiritual platform. The very name Krishna suggests piety and liberation. Anyone who takes shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna enters the boat for crossing over the ocean of nations. Right? Nations means ignorance. Right? Ignorance means not understanding how everything is part of Krishna and related to Krishna. That's nations. So if we see something or work with something, but we're not conscious of its relation to Krishna, that is because we are in ignorance of some type. So one who takes shelter of Krishna's lotus feet enters the boat for crossing over the ocean of nations. For him, this vast expanse of the material manifestation becomes as insignificant as the water in a calf's hoof print. Right? Krishna is the shelter of all great souls. And he is also the shelter of the material worlds. For one who is on the platform of Krishna consciousness, Vaikuntha, or the spiritual world, is not far away. He does not live within the material world, where there is danger at every step. So this material existence is described to be like a great ocean of ignorance. And it is very, very difficult to overcome. In the Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter, the Lord says that Daivi Hyesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mameva Ye Papadyante Maya Metam Tarantite. This material energy of mine is very difficult to overcome. It's Duratyaya. It has us subjugated, oppressed. Very difficult to cross beyond it, very difficult to overcome the laws of this material world. In so many ways we are controlled in our activities. And we struggle against that nature to achieve our particular desires and goals, right? Constantly working, struggling, striving, being disappointed, occasionally getting a glimmer of hope, but ultimately being frustrated, let down, and losing what matters. That is the nature of material existence. It's duratyaya, very difficult to overcome. But the Lord says, if you come to me and you surrender to me, then maya metam tarantite. Such persons easily cross over this ocean. In fact, that ocean shrinks. It becomes just like a tiny little pool of water in the hoofprint of a calf. Simply by taking shelter of Krishna's devotional service. And for one who appears to be in this world, but has fully taken shelter of the Lord's service, the spiritual world is not far away. And one is actually liberated even while existing apparently within this world. Jivan mukta suuchite. One is a Jivan mukta, one is a liberated soul, even while moving, apparently moving within this material creation. So this is the real solution to the problems of life. Taking shelter of Krishna, surrendering to Krishna, always thinking of Him, being His devotee, bowing down before Him, worshipping Him, hearing about Him, chanting His holy names, right? All of these activities. And therefore we're reading all about the pastimes of Lord Krishna. And we are in the temple hearing about those things. Because this activity is very fundamental to the process of surrender. If we don't hear about Krishna, how will our love for Him be awoken? And when we do hear about Him from a proper source, right, like Srila Prabhupada, who's written this extraordinary book, when we hear about Him from such a proper source, then we become enlightened. Enlightened! The burden is lifted and the darkness is dissipated. Two meanings you could ascribe to that word, enlightened. Our heavy hearts are unburdened, and the darkness of the ignorance that we carry is dissipated by this light. This is such a wonderful thing. In this way, Krishna consciousness was fully explained to Maharaj Parikshit by Shukadeva Goswami, as he recited to the king the statements and prayers of Lord Brahma. These descriptions of Lord Krishna's pastimes with his cowherd boys, his eating with them on the bank of the Yamuna, and Lord Brahma's prayers unto him are all transcendental subject matters. Anyone who hears, recites, or chants them surely gets all his spiritual desires fulfilled. Thus, Krishna's childhood pastimes, his sporting with Balarama, and the cowherd boys in Vrindavana were described. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 14th chapter of Krishna, prayers offered by Lord Brahma to Lord Krishna. Does anybody have any reflections or questions on anything they've heard so far? Feel free, don't be shy. Okay, then we'll continue. Chapter 15. The killing of Dhinukasura. In this way, Sri Krishna, along with his elder brother, Balaram, passed the childhood age known as Kaumara and stepped into the age of Pauganda from the 6th year up to the 10th. Right, so from birth up to 5 years, you're known as a Kaumara kid. And then from 6 to 10, you're known as a Pauganda kid. There's a transition, a change. So, Krishna and his friends, they entered that Pauganda stage of childhood. At that time, all the cowherd men conferred and agreed to give those boys who had passed their 5th year charge of the cows in the pasturing ground. Given charge of the cows, Krishna and Balaram traversed Vrindavana, purifying the land with their lotus footprints. Accompanied by the cowherd boys and Balaram, Krishna brought forward the cows and played on his flute as he entered the forest of Vrindavana, which was full of flowers, vegetation, and pasturing grass. The Vrindavan forest was as sanctified as the clear mind of a devotee, and was full of bees, flowers, and fruits. There were chirping birds and clear water lakes, with waters that could relieve one of all fatigue. Sweet-smelling breezes blew always, refreshing the mind and the body. Krishna, with his friends and Balaram, entered the forest and, seeing the favorable situation, desired to enjoy the atmosphere to the fullest extent. Krishna saw all the trees overloaded with fruits and fresh twigs, bending down to touch the ground as if welcoming him by touching his lotus feet. He was very pleased by the behavior of the trees, fruits, and flowers, and he began to smile, realizing their desires. Krishna then spoke to his elder brother Balaram as follows: "My dear brother, you are superior to all of us, and your lotus feet are worshipped by the demigods. Just see how these trees full of fruits and flowers have bent down to worship your lotus feet. It appears that they are trying to get out of the darkness that has obliged them to accept the form of trees." Actually, the trees born in the land of Vrindavana are not ordinary living entities. Having held the impersonal point of view in their past lives, they have been put into this stationary condition of life, but now they have the opportunity of seeing you in Vrindavana, and they are praying for further advancement in spiritual life through your personal association. Interesting, right? Those trees in Vrindavan that Krishna is referring to, he mentions that in their previous lives, they held the impersonal point of view of the Absolute Truth. So certainly it's glorious to be born in Vrindavan, even as a tree, but better we avoid a stationary form of life, and to avoid it, we also want to avoid an impersonal conception of the Absolute, or being attached to such an impersonal conception. The Supreme Absolute Truth is ultimately personal, and his impersonal feature is subordinate, secondary to his personal identity. Krishna continues, generally, living entities in the mode of darkness obtain the bodies of trees. The impersonalist philosophers are in that darkness, but they eradicate it by taking full advantage of your presence. So he's addressing Lord Balaram here. Balaram is Krishna's second body. Right at the end of last week, when we had the festival for Lord Nityananda, we were speaking about how Lord Nityananda is Balaram. Lord Balaram is Krishna's brother. Effectively, Balaram is Krishna's second body. He's his immediate expansion. Krishna is an unlimited person, and he can expand himself in unlimited ways. And his most immediate expansion is Balaram, Lord Nityananda. Yeah, if you're not sure who Nityananda is, on the portrait above me, yes, in the blue garments, that is Nityananda, Balaram. And he is the source of all spiritual strength, or Bala. And therefore we are encouraged to take shelter of Lord Balaram, Lord Nityananda, in order that we can march forward in spiritual life. Right? Without Balaram's mercy, it is not possible to progress in spiritual life. And therefore he is the original spiritual master. And all spiritual masters are representative of Lord Balaram. So the impersonalist philosophers are in that darkness. Right? Any preacher, speaker, spiritualist whose message is that the absolute truth is without form, is ultimately all one, and that you must realize yourself as homogeneous or as the same as that one. These people are impersonal philosophers. Yes? And they are contaminated by this darkness, this ignorance, not knowing that the supreme feature of the absolute truth is personal. I think the drones that are buzzing all around you must have been your devotees in their past lives. They cannot leave your company because no one can be a better, more affectionate master than you. You are the supreme and original personality of Godhead, and the drones are just trying to spread your glories by chanting at every moment. I think some of them must be great sages, devotees of your Lordship. And they are disguising themselves in the form of drones because they are unable to give up your company even for a moment. My dear brother, you are the supreme worshipable Godhead. Just see, right? Just remember that this is Krishna, the supreme worshipable Godhead, addressing his brother as the supreme worshipable Godhead. Both of them are the supreme worshipable Godhead. But Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead who is served, and Balaram is the supreme personality of servant or Godhead. He considers himself the servant of Krishna. Just see how the peacocks are dancing before you in great ecstasy. The deer, whose behavior is just like that of the gopis, are welcoming you with the same affection. And the cuckoos who are residing in this forest are welcoming you with their joyful, sweet cries because they consider that your appearance in their home is so auspicious. Even though they are trees and animals, these residents of Vrindavan are glorifying you. They are prepared to welcome you to the best of their ability, as is the practice of great souls in receiving another great soul at home. As for the land, it is so pious and fortunate because the footprints of your lotus feet are marking its body. It is quite natural for these Vrindavan inhabitants to thus receive a great personality like you. The herbs, creepers, and plants are also so fortunate to touch your lotus feet. And by your touching the twigs with your fingernails, these small plants are also made glorious. As for the hills and the rivers, they too are now glorious because you are glancing at them. Above all, the damsels of Vraja, the gopis, are the most glorious because you embrace them with your strong arms, being attracted by their beauty. In this way, Lord Krishna and Balaram began to enjoy the residents of Vrindavan to their full satisfaction as they herded the calves and cows on the bank of the Yamuna. In some places, Krishna and Balaram were accompanied by their friends. The boys were singing, imitating the humming sound of the drones and accompanying Krishna and Balaram, who were garlanded with forest flowers. While walking, the boys sometimes imitated the quacking sound of the swans in the lakes, or when they saw the peacocks dancing, they imitated them before Krishna. Krishna also moved his neck, imitating the dancing and making his friends laugh. The cows taken care of by Krishna had different names, and Krishna would call them with love. After hearing Krishna calling, the cows would immediately respond by mooing, and the boys would enjoy this exchange to their heart's content. They would all imitate the sound vibrations made by the different kinds of birds, especially the chakoras, peacocks, cuckoos, and paradvajas. Sometimes, when they would see the weaker animals fleeing out of fear of the sounds of tigers and lions, the boys, along with Krishna and Balaram, would imitate the animals and run away with them. When they felt some fatigue, they would sit down, and Balaram would put his head on the lap of one of the boys just to take rest, and Krishna would immediately come and begin massaging the legs of Balaram. And sometimes Krishna would take a palm fan and fan the body of Balaram, causing a pleasing breeze to relieve him of his fatigue. Other boys would sometimes dance or sing while Balaram took rest, and sometimes they would wrestle amongst themselves or jump. When the boys were thus engaged, Krishna would immediately join them, and catching their hands, he would enjoy their company and laugh and praise their activities. When Krishna would feel tired and fatigued, he would sometimes take shelter of the root of a big tree or the lap of a cowherd boy and lie down. When he would lie down with a boy or a root as his pillow, some of the boys would come and massage his legs, and some would fan his body with a fan made from leaves. Some of the more talented boys would sing in very sweet voices to please him. Thus, very soon, his fatigue would go away. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, whose legs are tended by the goddess of fortune, shared himself with the cowherd boys as one of them, expanding his internal potency to appear exactly like a village boy. But despite his appearing just like a village boy, there were occasions when he proved himself to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sometimes men pose themselves as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and cheat innocent people. But they can only cheat. They cannot exhibit the potency of God. So in this way, Krishna played with his friends in the forest, right? This is what boys do. At least when I was a boy, this is what we did. In the sand dunes, in the forest, yes? Boys will be boys, and they will play and laugh and enjoy each other's company. So this is possible in Krishna's abode for one who loves Krishna as his friend. While Krishna was thus engaged in his transcendental pastimes, exhibiting his internal potency in the company of the supermost fortunate cowherd boys, there occurred another chance for him to exhibit the superhuman powers of Godhead. His most intimate friends, Sri Dama, Subala, and Stoka Krishna, addressed Krishna and Balaram with great love and affection thus. So what did these three friends say to Krishna? They said, "Dear Balaram, you are very powerful, your arms are very strong. Dear Krishna, you are very expert in killing all kinds of disturbing demons. Will you kindly note that just near this place there is a big forest of the name Talavana. This forest is full of palm trees, and all the trees are filled with fruits. Some have fallen down, and some of them are very ripe, even in the trees. It is a very nice place, but because of a great demon, Dhenukasura, it is very difficult to go there. No one can reach the trees to collect the fruits. Dear Krishna and Balaram, this demon is present there in the form of an ass, and he is surrounded by similar demon friends who have assumed the same shape. All of them are very strong, so it is very difficult to approach this place. Dear brothers, you are the only persons who can kill such demons. Other than you, no one can go there for fear of being killed. Not even animals go there, and no birds are living there. They have all left. One can only appreciate the sweet aroma that is coming from that place. It appears that up until now, no one has tasted the sweet fruits there, either on the tree or on the ground. Dear Krishna, to tell you frankly, we are very attracted by this sweet aroma. Dear Balaram, if you like, let us all go there and enjoy these fruits. The aroma of the fruits is now spread everywhere. Don't you smell it from here? When Balaram and Krishna were thus petitioned by their intimate friends, they were inclined to please them, and with smiling faces they proceeded toward the forest, surrounded by all their friends. Immediately upon entering the Talavan, Balaram began to yank the trees with his arms, exhibiting the strength of an elephant. Because of this jerking, all the ripe fruits fell down on the ground. Upon hearing the sound of the falling fruits, the demon Dhenukasura, who was living there in the form of an ass, approached with great force, shaking the whole field, so that all the trees moved as if there were an earthquake. The demon appeared before Balaram and kicked his chest with his hind legs. At first, Balaram did not say anything, but with great anger, the demon kicked him again, more vehemently. This time, Balaram immediately caught hold of the legs of the ass with one hand, and, wheeling him around, threw him into the treetops. While he was being wheeled around by Balaram, the demon lost his life. Balaram threw the demon into that biggest palm tree about, and the demon's body was so heavy that the palm tree fell upon other trees, and several fell down. It appeared as if a great hurricane was passing through the forest, and all the trees were falling down one after another. This exhibition of extraordinary strength is not astonishing, because Balaram is the personality of Godhead, known as Ananta Shesha Naga, who is holding all the planets on the hoods of his millions of heads. He maintains the whole cosmic manifestation exactly as horizontal and vertical threads hold the weaving of a cloth. So the entire cosmic manifestation is resting on the strength of Lord Balaram, just as the weaving of a cloth is held together by horizontal and vertical threads. The matrix, right? Balaram, the sub-matrix. Everything held together by Balaram. Super Soul, Lord Janardana, maintainer of all. After the demon had been thrown into the trees, all the friends and associates of Dhenukasura immediately assembled and attacked Balaram and Krishna with great force. They were determined to retaliate and avenge the death of their friend. But Krishna and Balaram caught each of the asses by the hind legs and, exactly in the same way, wheeled them around. Thus they killed all of them and threw them into the palm trees. Because of the dead bodies of the asses, there was a panoramic scene. It appeared as if clouds of various colors were assembled in the trees. Hearing of this great incident, the demigods from the higher planets showered flowers on Krishna and Balaram, and beat their drums and offered devotional prayers. A few days after the killing of Dhenukasura, people began to come into the Talavan forest to collect the fruits, and animals began to return without fear to feed on the nice grasses growing there. Just by chanting or hearing these transcendental activities and pastimes of the brothers Krishna and Balaram, one can amass pious activities. When Krishna and Balaram entered the village of Vrindavan along with their friends, they played their flutes, and the boys praised their uncommon activities in the forest. Their faces were decorated with tilaka and smeared with the dust raised by the cows, and Krishna's head was decorated with a peacock feather. Both he and Balaram played their flutes, mothers and the young gopis were joyous to see Krishna returning home. All the gopis in Vrindavan remained very morose on account of Krishna's absence. All day they were thinking of Krishna in the forest or of him herding cows in the pasture. When they saw Krishna returning, all their anxieties were immediately relieved, and they began to look at his face the way drones hover over the honey of the lotus flower. Such a nice metaphor. Just as bees, drones hover over the honey of the lotus flower, the gopis looked over Krishna's face. When Krishna entered the village, the young gopis smiled and laughed. Krishna, while playing the flute, enjoyed the beautiful smiling faces of the gopis. Then Krishna and Balaram were immediately received by their affectionate mothers, Yashoda and Rohini, who, according to the time's demands, began to fulfill the desires of their affectionate sons. Simultaneously, the mothers rendered service and bestowed benediction upon their transcendental sons. They took care of their children by bathing them and dressing them very nicely. Krishna was dressed in yellowish garments, and Balaram was dressed in bluish garments. And they were given all sorts of ornaments and flower garlands. Being relieved of the fatigue of their day's work in the pasturing ground, they looked refreshed and very beautiful. They were given palatable dishes by their mothers, and they pleasantly ate everything. After eating, they were seated nicely on clean bedding, and the mothers began to sing various songs of their activities. As soon as they lay down on the bedding, they very quickly fell fast asleep. In this way, Krishna and Balaram used to enjoy Vrindavan life as cowherd boys. Sometimes Krishna used to go with his boyfriends and Balaram, and sometimes he used to go alone with his friends to the bank of the Yamuna and tend the cows. Gradually, the summer season arrived, and one day, while in the field, the boys and cows became very thirsty and began to drink the water of the Yamuna. The river, however, had been made poisonous by the venom of the great serpent known as Kaliya. Because the water was so poisonous, the boys and cows became visibly affected immediately after drinking. They suddenly fell down on the ground, apparently dead. Then Krishna, who is the life of all that lives, simply cast his merciful glance over them, and all the boys and cows regained consciousness and began to look at one another with great astonishment. They could understand that by drinking the water of the Yamuna, they had died, and that the merciful glance of Krishna had restored their lives. Thus they appreciated the mystic power of Krishna, who is known as Yogeshvara, the master of all mystic yogis. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 15th chapter of Krishna, the killing of Dhenugasura. Any reflections or questions? All good? Okay. Let's read a little more before Bhagavad Gita class. Chapter 16. Subduing Kaliya. When he understood that the water of the Yamuna was being polluted by the black serpent, Kaliya, Lord Krishna took action against him and made him leave the Yamuna and go elsewhere, and thus the water became purified. When this story was being narrated by Shukadeva Goswami, Maharaj Parikshit became eager to hear more about Krishna's childhood pastimes. He inquired from Shukadeva Goswami how Krishna chastised Kaliya, who had been living in the water for many years. Actually, Maharaj Parikshit was becoming more and more enthusiastic to hear the transcendental pastimes of Krishna, and his inquiry was made with great interest. Shukadeva Goswami narrated the story as follows. Within the river Yamuna there was a great lake, and in that lake the black serpent Kaliya used to live. Because of his poison, the whole area was so contaminated that it emanated a poisonous vapor 24 hours a day. If a bird happened to even pass over the spot, it would immediately die and fall down into the water. Due to the poisonous effect of the Yamuna's vapors, the trees and grass near the bank of the Yamuna had all dried up. Lord Krishna saw the effect of the great serpent's poison. The whole river that ran before Vrindavana was now deadly. Krishna, who had vented himself just to kill all undesirable elements in the world, immediately climbed up into a big Kadamba tree on the bank of the Yamuna. The Kadamba is a tree bearing round yellow flowers that is generally seen only in the Vrindavana area. After climbing to the top of the tree, he tightened his belt cloth and, slapping his arms just like a wrestler, jumped into the midst of the poisonous lake. The Kadamba tree from which Krishna jumped was the only tree there which was not dead. Some commentators say that due to being touched by the lotus feet of Krishna, the tree immediately became alive. In some other Puranas it is stated that Garuda, the eternal carrier of Vishnu, knew that Krishna would take this action in the future, and so he put some nectar on this tree to preserve it. When Lord Krishna jumped into the water, the river overflooded its banks to a distance of 100 yards, as if something very large had fallen into it. This exhibition of Krishna's strength is not at all uncommon, because he is the reservoir of all strength. When Krishna was swimming about, just like a great strong elephant, he made a tumultuous sound, which the great black serpent Kaliya could hear. The tumult was intolerable for him, and he could understand that this was an attempt to attack his home. Therefore, he immediately came before Krishna. Kaliya saw that Krishna was indeed worth seeing because his body was so beautiful and delicate. Its color resembled that of a cloud, and his feet resembled lotus flowers. He was decorated with Srivatsa, jewels, and yellow garments. He was smiling with a beautiful face and was playing in the river Yamuna with great strength. But in spite of Krishna's beautiful features, Kaliya felt great anger within his heart, and thus he grabbed Krishna with his mighty coils. Seeing the incredible way in which Krishna was enveloped in the coils of the serpent, the affectionate cowherd boys and other inhabitants of Vrindavana immediately became stunned out of fear. They had dedicated everything to Krishna. Their lives, property, affection, activities, everything was for Krishna. And when they saw him in that condition, they became overwhelmed with fear and fell down on the ground. All the cows, bulls, and small calves became overwhelmed with grief, and they began to look at him with great anxiety. Out of fear, they could only cry in agony and stand erect on the bank, unable to help their beloved Krishna. Any questions, reflections so far? No? Okay. While this scene was taking place on the bank of the Yamuna, there were ill omens manifest. The earth trembled, meteors fell from the sky, and the left side of man's bodies shivered. All these are indications of great immediate danger. Okay, so if you feel the earth tremble, if you see meteors falling from the sky, and if in the left side of your bodies shivers, men. Right? I think that in female bodies it's the opposite. Right? If all of these symptoms occur, then it is an indication of great immediate danger. Observing the inauspicious signs, the cowherd men, including Maharaj Nanda, became very anxious out of fear. At the same time, they were informed that Krishna had gone to the pasturing ground with his elder brother Balaram. As soon as Nanda and Yashoda and the cowherd men heard the news, they became even more anxious. Out of their great affection for Krishna and being unaware of the extent of his potencies, they became overwhelmed with grief and anxiety because they had nothing dearer than Krishna and because they had dedicated their everything, life, property, affection, mind and activities to Krishna. Because of their great attachment for Krishna, they thought, today Krishna is surely going to be vanquished. All the inhabitants of Vrindavan came out of the village to see Krishna. The assembly consisted of children, old men, women, animals, and all living entities. They knew that Krishna was their only means of sustenance. While this was happening, Balaram, who is the master of all knowledge, stood there simply smiling. He knew how powerful his younger brother was and that there was no cause for anxiety when Krishna was fighting with an ordinary serpent of the material world. He did not therefore personally take part in their sorrow. On the other hand, all the inhabitants of Vrindavan, being disturbed, began to search out Krishna by following the impression of his footprints on the ground, and thus they moved hastily toward the bank of the Yamuna. Finally, by following the footprints marked with flag, bow, and conch shell, the inhabitants of Vrindavana arrived at the riverbank and saw that all the cows and boys were weeping to behold Krishna enwrapped in the coils of the black serpent. Then they became still more overwhelmed with grief. While Balaram was smiling to see their lamentation, all the inhabitants of Brajabhumi merged into the ocean of grief because they thought that Krishna was finished. Although the residents of Vrindavana did not know much about Krishna, their love for him was beyond comparison. As soon as they saw that Krishna was in the river Yamuna, enveloped by the serpent Kaliya, and that all the boys and cows were lamenting, they simply began to think of Krishna's friendship, his smiling face, his sweet words, and his dealings with them. Thinking of all these and seeing that their Krishna was now within the clutches of Kaliya, they at once felt that the three worlds had become vacant. Lord Chaitanya also said that he was seeing the three worlds as vacant for want of Krishna. This is the highest stage of Krishna consciousness. Almost all the inhabitants of Vrindavana had the highest ecstatic love for Krishna. When Mother Yashoda arrived, she wanted to enter the river Yamuna, and being checked, she fainted. Her friends, who were equally aggrieved, were shedding tears like torrents of rain or waves of the river. But in order to bring Mother Yashoda to consciousness, they began to speak loudly about the transcendental pastimes of Krishna. Mother Yashoda remained still, as if dead, because her consciousness was concentrated on the face of Krishna. Nanda and all the other cowherd men, who had dedicated everything, including their lives, to Krishna, were ready to enter the waters of the Yamuna, but Lord Balaram checked them because he was in perfect knowledge that there was no danger. For 2 hours, Krishna remained like an ordinary child, gripped in the coils of Kaliya. But can you imagine, for 2 hours, the inhabitants of Vrindavan are watching this, fearing for Krishna's life. But when Krishna saw that all the inhabitants of Gokula, including his mother and father, the gopis, the boys, and the cows, were just on the point of death, and that they had no shelter for salvation from imminent death, Krishna immediately freed himself. He began to expand his body, and when the serpent tried to hold him, he felt a great strain. On account of the strain, his coils slackened, and he had no alternative but to let loose the personality of Godhead, Krishna, from his grasp. Kaliya then became very angry, and his great hoods expanded. He exhaled poisonous fumes from his nostrils. His eyes blazed like fire, and flames issued from his mouth. The great serpent remained still for some time, looking at Krishna. Licking his lips with bifurcated tongues, the serpent looked at Krishna with double hoods, and his eyesight was full of poison. Krishna immediately pounced upon him, just as Garuda swoops upon a snake. Thus attacked, Kaliya looked for an opportunity to bite him, but Krishna moved around him. As Krishna and Kaliya moved in a circle, the serpent gradually became fatigued, and his strength seemed to diminish considerably. Krishna immediately pressed down the serpent's hoods and jumped up on them. The Lord's lotus feet became tinged with red from the rays of the jewels on the snake's hoods. The Lord's lotus feet became tinged with red from the rays of the jewels on the snake's hoods. Then he who is the original artist of all fine arts, such as dancing, began to dance upon the hoods of the serpent, although they were moving to and fro. Upon seeing this, the denizens of the upper planets showered flowers, beat drums, played different types of flutes, and sang various prayers and songs. In this way, all the denizens of heaven, such as the Gandharvas, Siddhas, and demigods, became very pleased. So, it is now 6:05, and we're meant to be having Bhagavad Gita class. The speaker has not appeared. So we'll stop there for today. We are on chapter 16, entitled Subduing Kaliya, and we're going to find out the complete outcome of this pastime, hopefully tomorrow. But in the fight, the Lord has now got the upper hand. Yes, and he begins his dancing upon the roving hoods of Kaliya. All glories to Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, everybody. So we're now going to have Bhagavad Gita class. The scheduled speaker may still yet appear, but in the meantime, I will go forward. And if you would all like to face the seat, then it will be much easier for me to speak to you. Otherwise, I'll be talking to the back of your heads, yeah? So we're just going to chant first to see if we can gain some further blessing. Reading Krishna book is most auspicious, and I feel very much helped by this narration. Still, I'm going to sing Jai Radha Madhava. If you know it, please join in. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaranari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaranari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Ashtotara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Abhay Charanand and the Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Ashtotara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Shri Navadvip Dham Ki Ganga Mai Ki Yamuna Mai Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Tulasi Devi Ki Samaveta Bhaktavrinda Ki Jainitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories unto the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So today's verse is, from all appearances, Bhagavad Gita 4:32. And I was not planning to be sat here, but since no one has come forward, then here I am. So, 432. Chapter 4 is called Transcendental Knowledge. And the Lord is explaining to Arjuna how this transcendental knowledge is awakened and received by the performance of sacrifice. And the greatest type of sacrifice is that which pleases Lord Vishnu or Krishna. Yagya. How have I forgotten that verse? Yagyartat karmanam yatra lokayam karma bandhana tarartam karma kantaya mukta sangha samachara. Work in this world must be performed for the sake of Vishnu. Yagya. Alright, another name of Lord Vishnu, Krishna, is Yagya. This is sacrifice. Work must be performed for the sake of Vishnu. If such work is not performed for the sake of Vishnu, then it is binding, it is the cause of karma, right? And reaction within the material existence. So, essentially we've got two choices. We can perform work selfishly, which binds us to this material world, or we can perform work selflessly for God, which liberates us from this material world. Essentially, that's it. Alright? And so everything we do is either generating karma and suffering, or it is helping to get us out. Okay? So we want to be very careful about what we're doing and why we're doing it. And if we think about that carefully, and we arrange our life's activities so that they're all dedicated for the pleasure of Lord Yagya, Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna, who's the same person, then we'll become free, we'll become liberated. So this knowledge about Krishna and about who I am is very much achieved by the performance of sacrifice. And there are different kinds of sacrifice Krishna has delineated. And now we're up to text 32. Okay. So just to reverse briefly. In text 31, the Lord says to Arjuna, O best of the Kuru dynasty, without sacrifice one can never live happily on this planet or in this life. What then of the next? So he's saying that this sacrifice is actually necessary to live happily. Right? We all want to live happily. And various people, and in this day and age they're called influencers, they're all advocating for happy living and telling us how we can be happy. But do any of them really have the answer? Right? Because if they can't stop old age and death, then they're simply bluffing. Because whatever happiness they may promise, that is simply temporary happiness, if it even works, right? If their methods even come off, whatever happiness may be yielded by such methods will simply be temporary. So we want the kind of happiness that is dependable. We want happiness that never ends. Because what is the use of happiness that ends? Everything is forgotten, so you may have enjoyed for a little bit, but then if your ultimate destination is suffering, then what good is it to you that you enjoyed a little bit in the ancient past? Yeah? If you're dying of thirst in the desert, and someone gives you one drop of water, okay? One drop. What good is that? How is that of any value? Yes, nice, I had one drop of water, and now I'm still dying of thirst. So what good are these stopgap so-called solutions to material suffering? The real solution is how to become free from this material world. That is the big project, Yeah, that is the big picture. That is thinking, ahead. Anything else is simply foolishness. Because you may acquire some temporary so-called happiness by... the only word that came to my mind was dodgy. By dodgy methods, one may acquire some wealth, some sense gratification, right? Some momentary happiness. But by your dodgy methods, you'll be forced to suffer later. Yeah, you'll be made to pay for your methods if they're not ethical. Even if they are materially ethical, if they're not spiritual, one has to remain in this material world to undergo birth and death. So we want to be able to act spiritually. If we act spiritually, then we can become free. So, let me just find the verse in my own book. 431. Right, Krishna says to Arjuna, without sacrifice one can never live happily on this planet or in this life. What then of the next? So this is God saying that if you want to be happy on this planet, in this life, and in the next, then you must perform sacrifice. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Let's read the purport. I know it's yesterday's, but we are leading up to today's. And I need to remind myself of what's going on here. Whatever form of material existence one is in, one is invariably ignorant of his real situation. In other words, existence in the material world is due to the multiple reactions of our sinful lives. Right? For so many lives we've been missing the point. That's what it means to sin. Right? To miss the point. For so many lives. And then all of our activities, missing the point in so many lives, yields various reactions. Ignorance is the cause of sinful life. And sinful life is the cause of one's dragging on in material existence. Okay. So ignorance, avidya. Due to this avidya, or ignorance, one performs a sinful act. Right? Like you don't know who's in charge and what the laws are, so you're going to do something stupid. Stupid gets you killed. Stupid gets you into trouble. Okay? Has anybody experienced this? Right? Out of greed or lust or envy, madness, anger, right? One does something foolish that gets you into trouble. And then you cry about it later and you regret it later. Has anybody experienced this? Yeah? Yeah? Everyone has, right? Anyone who says they have not, I bet they're lying. So we've all experienced, stupid gets you killed, stupid gets you into trouble. Okay, because of avidya, because of ignorance, we don't know the laws and we're acting selfishly, so we don't know who we're hurting, we don't know who's being affected. Right? Someone thinks, I just have to have that, so I'm going to take it, I'm going to steal it. Right? Well, that's not very nice, is it? Because someone else is going to wake up in the morning with their thing gone. Right? Who wants that? So you get into trouble. Either the law catches up with you, or in your next life, or a little bit down the road, someone's going to take what's yours, and you're not going to like it. That's karma. That's the name of the game. So, one performs a sinful act. Papa. That sinful act yields reaction. Prarabdha or aprarabdha karma, which means it immediately comes to me, right? The police take me within a few moments, or the reaction catches up to me sometime later in a different way. Maybe somebody steals from me. But there's immediately manifesting karma, or karma that has arrived, yeah, and karma that is on its way, right? It's due, but it hasn't hit me yet. Okay? It's on its way. Like the arrow is in flight. It is due to hit its target, but hasn't quite arrived. So I may think, well, I got away with that. No. The result is on its way to you. It's in the post. It will arrive. Don't worry. You also get something else. And that is called kuta, right? Proclivity. You perform that sinful act, you stole something. This is an example. And you also get a proclivity to do it again. The desire to do it again. Okay? And that yields bija, or seed. A seed of the desire to do it again. And from that seed, the action happens again. You steal again. So in this way there's a cycle of sin and reaction and further sin. Right? Because it's not over just when you got the reaction. You actually are left with this tendency to perform the same sinful act again and again. And that's a result of avidya, ignorance. So the only way to break the vicious cycle is to remove avidya, remove ignorance. That's the only way to break the cycle. So ignorance is the cause of sinful life, Srila Prabhupada says. And sinful life is the cause of one's dragging on in material existence. As long as we're performing sinful activities and we're receiving the reactions, we continue in this cycle of birth and death. We have to be here to get the reactions. Yeah? There has to be some consequence. You can't just say, oh, no, I don't wish to have the consequence. Yeah? I'm out of here. Yeah? I did my naughty business, someone else suffered, and now I'm out. Can't catch me. Sorry, it doesn't work like that. You're already caught. You're already within the material tabernacle. Maya already has you in her grip, and she will force you to take a body, and she will force you to receive the reactions of your previous actions. Yes? So, dragging on in material existence. The human form of life is the only loophole. Right? We're looking for a loophole. How do I get out of this, The human form of life is the only loophole by which one may get out of this entanglement. The Vedas therefore give us the chance for escape by pointing out the paths of religion, economic comfort, regulated sense gratification, and, at last, the means to get out of the miserable condition entirely. Okay, so this is the path chalked out for human beings in the form of dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. By performance of religious activities recommended by the Vedas, the Lord, through the Vedic literatures, then one is granted artha, gain, prosperity, wealth. Yeah, reward. This is the reward. Okay, you're following God's laws, you're doing the things that you're asked to do for your own good. You'll get gain, wealth, facility. As a result of that facility, you will be able to enjoy kama. You will be able to enjoy the senses. Because if there is not sufficient food, shelter, right, facility and comfort, you can't fully enjoy the senses. And then having enjoyed the senses to the nth degree, one will realize that this is not making me happy, this is not working, I'm not satisfied, and then one will seek something more, something higher. One will seek moksha. This cycle of performing religion, gaining wealth, getting sense gratification, yes, and then blowing it and having to do it all again, it's not working. So let me get out of this process altogether. Moksha, getting out of the material world. This is the plan for human beings. So the Vedas give us a chance for this escape by pointing out the paths of religion, economic comfort, regulated sense gratification. Regulated. Okay? Not you go crazy and, spoil your energy, but you're actually helped how to enjoy the senses in a regulated way. And at last, the means to get out of the miserable condition entirely. That means moksha. The path of religion or the different kinds of sacrifice recommended above automatically solves our economic problems. By performance of yajna, we can have enough food, enough milk, etc., even if there is a so-called increase of population. Okay, so all economic problems can be solved by the performance of sacrifice, yajna. Yeah? This is an important statement. People want money. People want prosperity, comfort, ease. Yeah? Well, God's saying you can get that, but you must perform yajna, sacrifice. Okay, does anybody know what is the recommended sacrifice in this particular age of Kali, which began 5,000 years ago? There's a very specific yajna that the scriptures recommend in this age. And we should know it, right? We want to be happy. We want to fulfill the aim of human life. Krishna, God, is telling us you need to perform sacrifice if you want to be happy. So what's okay? Tell me, what's the sacrifice? I'm all ears. Does anyone know? You must know. Sankirtan, yes. Sankirtan, yajna. What is that Sankirtan yajna? It means glorification of God. Sneha samyukta, with affection and with complete engagement. So we chant together, congregationally, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And when we do that together in Sankirtan, right, one person chants, everyone else responds, call and response like this. This is Sankirtana Yajna. This is a great sacrifice. And this is the best sacrifice in the stage of Kali. And by the performance of this sacrifice, everything is achievable. Spiritually and materially. But we don't do it for material gain. Right? We're not using God's name for our own material purpose. But even doing it for Krishna's pleasure, all economic problems are solved. Yes? And if you don't believe me, well, just try it out. Make an experiment. Do it. Actually do it. And let's find out what happens. By performance of yajna, we can have enough food, enough milk, etc., even if there is a so-called increase of population. When the body is fully supplied, naturally, the next stage is to satisfy the senses. Yeah, as soon as you're sitting pretty, as soon as you've got a big pile of cash, what do people want to do? Yeah, now we can enjoy, yes! The Vedas say it must be regulated, must be planned. The Vedas prescribe, therefore, sacred marriage for regulated sense gratification. Thereby, one is gradually elevated to the platform of release from material bondage. And the highest perfection of liberated life is to associate with the Supreme Lord. Perfection is achieved by performance of yajna, which means, what does it mean, yajna? Huh? Yes, sacrifice, sankirtan, is the greatest yajna, but the specific word yajna means sacrifice, okay? So, perfection is achieved by performance of yajna, sacrifice, as described above. Now, if a person is not inclined to perform yajna, according to the Vedas, how can he expect a happy life? Right? How can you expect a happy life if you don't want to do the yajna? There are different grades of material comforts in different heavenly planets. And in all cases, there is immense happiness for persons engaged in different kinds of yajna. Okay? So even if you have some aspiration to enjoy this material world, to go to heaven, yeah, you won't be able to get it unless you perform what? Yajna, sacrifice. And what's the best yajna in this Kali Yuga? Sankirtana yajna, huh? Right? Chanting of Krishna's holy names. Yagyai Sankirtana Prayar, Yajanti Hi Sumedasa. Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishnam Sangopangashtra Parshadam Yagya Sankirtana Prayar Yajanti Sumedasa. Those who have a good brain, those who are blessed with Sumedasa, good intelligence in this age of Kali, what do? Sankirtana Yagya. They perform Sankirtana Yagya. And by doing so, they worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right, who you'll see in this portrait over here, behind me. In the center, yes? In the center, this is Krishna, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's Krishna himself, but he comes to this world to show us how to perform this Sankirtana Yagya. And the result of that Sankirtana Yagya is that we become perfect in spiritual realization. And the goal of this yagya is Krishna Prema, which means pure love for Krishna. That is the ultimate goal. If anyone asks you on the street, hey, what's the meaning of life? What's the aim of life? Yeah, you can shoot back at them. You don't know? You haven't heard? The aim of life is Krishna Prema, pure love for Krishna. It will satisfy all of your requirements and all of your desires. Nothing else is required. Absolutely nothing else is required. If you get Krishna Prema, all of your problems are solved. And everything that you want is fulfilled. And how do you get this Krishna Prema? Sankirtana Yagya. Those who have good brain, good intelligence, they do this thing, all right? So in half an hour during the arati, we're going to be performing Sankirtana Yagya. Yeah? Stick around. And this Sankirtana Yagya can be performed at all times, in all places, right? And it's not difficult. It doesn't require any great expense. One simply has to come together with other devotees and use one's vocal cords and one's tongue to chant Krishna's holy names. Very simple process, because we're very poor in this Kali Yuga. Manda sumanda matayo, manda bhagya shupadrita. In this Kali Yuga, we're very slow, unfortunate, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. Right? Who's not? Is anybody here not regularly disturbed? Yeah? Some people say, yeah, I'm doing well, no problems, life's pretty easy. Okay, just well, I'm looking at my watch and I'm observing, and guaranteed, your disturbances will soon materialize, yeah? Because the nature of this world is that one cannot be free from disturbance for very long, especially in this Kali Yuga. So, in the Kali Yuga, we are disturbed in so many ways. It's very difficult for us to perform yagya. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself, gave us a very simple and effective method for performing sacrifice. He said, chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in congregation. This is the yagya. And if you don't believe me, we can produce a number of quotations from the Vedic literatures to prove it. Yeah, there's a book just around the corner there called Sri Namamrita. Yeah, and we can bring it out and quote all the scriptural verses. Okay. So, there are different grades of material comforts in different heavenly planets. That sounds nice. Yeah? Who wouldn't like to go to heaven and have a very relaxed and pleasurable time? Pure devotees don't want to go there, but everybody else would probably say yes to that proposition. Well, in all cases, there is immense happiness for persons engaged in different kinds of yagya. You don't get to go there if you don't perform yagya here. It's not possible. But the highest kind of happiness that a man can achieve is to be promoted to the spiritual planets by practice of Krishna consciousness. A life of Krishna consciousness is therefore the solution to all the problems of material existence. So in this chapter, Krishna has mentioned various types of sacrifice. And by all these different kinds of sacrifice, one can secure for oneself a very bright future. You could go to heaven, where the standard of enjoyment is much, much greater than it is here. But if you want to get out of the material world altogether, which is the real smart thing to do, then that is only possible by Krishna consciousness, by a specific sacrifice for the pleasure of Krishna. Because even if you get to the heavenly planets, you don't get to stay there forever. As soon as your credit runs out, you fall back down to earth with a thud. Jai Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda, Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshmana Hanuman, Jai Shri Shri Gauranitai. Yeah? Like you have a little money, you can purchase a ticket to go to some nice holiday destination. Right? For a week or two. Yeah? And then when that time is up, you have to come back to porridge. Right? Back to normality, back to porridge. You don't get to stay in Barbados. Yeah? Unless you have residence. Unless you have residency, then you could stay. Right? So going to heaven on the basis of your pious activities, your various sacrifices, okay, that'll buy you some time in heaven. Okay? But you have to come back down to earth. That's no good. We want residency, not in heaven, but we want residency in the spiritual world, where life is eternal, full of bliss, full of knowledge. And the standard of existence, the quality of life, the pleasure, the happiness experienced, makes liberation, just like a drop of water in an ocean. What to speak of any heavenly enjoyment. Heavenly enjoyment may be great. Getting out of the material world and entering Krishna's effulgence, that's more happiness still. Yeah? But entering into Krishna's association in one of his planets, one cannot estimate or imagine what kind of blissful life that is. So that's the smartest thing to aim for. A life of Krishna consciousness is therefore the solution to all the problems of material existence. So today's verse, text 32. And you'll see it on the board. Yes, on either side, in the corner. Let's chant together. So I will sing the line by line, and you repeat after me, line at a time. Evam bahu vidha yajna. Evam bahu vidha yajna. Vitata brahmano mukhe. Vitata brahmano mukhe. Karmajan viditan sarvan. Karmajan viditan sarvan. Evam gyatva vimokshase. Evam gyatva vimokshase. Would anyone else like to chant? No? Okay. Word by word. Evam. Thus. Bahuvidha. Various kinds. Yeah. Yajna. Sacrifices. Vitata are spread. Brahmana of the Vedas. Mukhe through the mouth. Karmajan born of work. Vidhi you should know. Tan them. Sarvan all. Evam thus. Gyatva knowing. Vimokshase you will be liberated. Okay, translation. All these different types of sacrifice are approved by the Vedas, and all of them are born of different types of work. Knowing them as such, you will become liberated. All of these different types of sacrifice are approved by the Vedas, and all of them are born of different types of work. Knowing them as such, you will become liberated. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Different types of sacrifice, as discussed above, are mentioned in the Vedas to suit the different types of worker. Because man is so deeply absorbed in the bodily concept, these sacrifices are so arranged that one can work either with the body, the mind, or the intelligence. But all of them are recommended for ultimately bringing about liberation from the body. This is confirmed by the Lord herewith from His own mouth. Okay. So let's go back a little bit, to hear some of the different kinds of sacrifice that Krishna has mentioned. And then maybe we can understand this purport better. Okay, so starting with verse 25. So this is a description by Krishna of different kinds of sacrifices that different people can feasibly make within this material world. As you hear this, you may find yourself somewhere here, right? That, oh, that's me. Or, no way could I ever do that. Yeah? But within this world, these are some of the things that people do in order to be elevated. Yeah? Because just spending your money, your strength, or enjoying your senses without regulation, it just sinks you. It degrades you, right? Anybody who becomes addicted to any form of sense gratification, right? Look what happens to them. They become destroyed, practically. Yeah? Alcohol, drugs, gambling, sex. Yeah? They become destroyed if they're not able to get a grip. Excessive sense gratification just absolutely wipes them out. Physically, mentally, emotionally, what to speak of spiritually. So, for the sake of elevation, one has to practice the opposite. Restriction, control, austerity. Krishna says, some yogis perfectly worship the demigods by offering different sacrifices to them. And some of them offer sacrifices in the fire of the Supreme Brahman. So for different purposes. Some people want to go to the planets of the demigods, and they worship the demigods. Yes? In order to attain those planets. Others are interested in meditating on the impersonal aspect of the Lord, the Supreme Brahman, and they meditate on the oneness of everything. Krishna says some of them sacrifice the hearing process and the senses in the fire of the controlled mind. This is also part of the yoga system. Yes, they only allow themselves to hear, right, religious or spiritual vibrations. Right? Not the TV, not the radio, not the local news, not the sports gossip. Right? They don't allow themselves to hear those things. They sacrifice the hearing process. And the senses in the fire of the controlled mind. So they have to control their mind. Yes? And to enable that, they restrict where their senses go and what they consume. They're very careful about the soundtrack of their life. Yeah? Where am I investing my attention? And others sacrifice the objects of the senses, such as sound, in the fire of sacrifice. Okay. Again, what am I listening to? Right? Sound is a sense object. Yes, and we're bombarded with that object from various angles. And we ourselves can be guilty of exposing ourselves to unhelpful sounds. Yeah, sounds that degrade our consciousness. So, some people are very careful about what they hear, as they should be, as we all should be. So it's a sacrifice, like a sacrificial fire. Yes, and you're only allowing certain types of sound to enter that sacrificial arena. Those who are interested in self-realization, in terms of mind and sense control, offer the functions of all the senses, as well as the vital force, the breath, as oblations into the fire of the controlled mind. So this is also describing part of the Ashtanga yoga system. Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana. Right? Krishna recommends in the 5th and 6th chapters of the Bhagavad Gita that if you want to practice the Ashtanga yoga system, you have to go to a secluded, private place. Yeah, you have to lay kusha grass in the ground and a deerskin and be undisturbed, away from the general populace. And you have to practice control of the breath, control of the senses, not allowing your attention to be diverted or to be pulled by anything externally. This is not a process that can be performed in a yoga studio or a hotel, right? Or a sports club. These kinds of yogis, they are ultimately able to suspend the breath within their own body and thus prolong their lifespan. Yeah? But unless they come to the point of realizing God in their own heart, then they're not successful. Because that's the whole point of the yoga process, is to ultimately realize the supersoul in your own heart. There are others who, enlightened by sacrificing their material possessions in severe austerities, take strict vows and practice the yoga of eightfold mysticism. And others study the Vedas for the advancement of transcendental knowledge. So we were talking on this verse last week. These are again different kinds of sacrifice. Dravya Maya Yajna, essentially. It means giving away or charity. I have some dravya. I have some stuff. Right? I've got this pile of cash. I have a boat. I have a really fancy car. I have a nice house. I don't need it. Or maybe I do need it, but hey, you have it. Okay? You have it. Take it. Someone else needs it. They should have it. Dravya Maya Yajna. A sacrifice of material possessions. Okay? What else is there? Tapamaya Yajna. Performing austerities like the Chaturmasya Vrat. Eating once a day, not shaving, not cutting one's nails. You've seen some tapasvis, I'm sure, on some television programs occasionally. Yeah, yogis who are like, living for the last 20 years with their hand held above their head or something like this, right? This is tapasya, some austerity, voluntary difficulty, for the sake of getting some power, benefit, gain, elevation, right? Of course, the austerity should be recommended in the Shastra. That's the best, right? Because if God says it's worthwhile, it's worthwhile. And if you make it up yourself, it's kind of hit and miss. You might please the Supreme Lord, but you might also just be bothering Him, because He's also residing in your heart. And if you do something that's torturous to yourself, then that's not recommended by Krishna. Within our Vaishnava society, we perform fasts on the appearance day of the Lord, and also once a fortnight on Ekadashi days. We avoid grains and beans. This is an austerity. It's a tapasya. And one of the results of this tapasya is elevation, benefit. Okay. What else have we got? Yes, the Hatha Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga system. right? That requires, again, going to a secluded place and performing strict control of the senses, of the breath, and ultimately diverting one's attention inward to find the super soul. It's a great sacrifice to go to the Himalayas or a forest where there's nobody and to try to do that. That's a great sacrifice. It will yield some, right, elevating result. What else have we got? Svadhyaya yagya, or engagement in the sacrifice of studies. By studying the Vedic literature, that is also a sacrifice. Whether or not one comes to the point of studying the Vedic literature, which is Krishna, to realize Krishna, that's another thing. Right? That should be the point. But even if one just attempts to study the Vedic scriptures, that's a sacrifice. Okay. And there are even others who are inclined to the process of breath restraint, to remain in trance. And they practice stopping the movement of the outgoing breath into the incoming, and incoming breath into the outgoing, and thus at last remain in trance, stopping all breathing. Some of them, curtailing the eating process, offer the outgoing breath into itself as a sacrifice. Again, talking about the system of yoga to achieve equilibrium and to discover the spirit within. Ultimately, that means the super soul. Because discovering spirit doesn't mean just to realize that I am soul, but it means to realize that I am part of the Supreme Soul. And the Supreme Soul is an entirely different, distinguishable entity. I am not one in every sense with the Supreme Soul. I am a little part of the Supreme Soul. Yes? And there's an eternal distinction between us. All these performers who know the meaning of sacrifice become cleansed of sinful reaction. Okay, this is one of the results. They become cleansed of sinful reaction. And having tasted the nectar of the remnants of such sacrifice, they go to the supreme, eternal atmosphere. O best of the Kuru dynasty, without sacrifice one can never live happily on this planet or in this life. What then of the next? All these different types of sacrifice are approved by the Vedas, and all of them are born of different types of work. Knowing them as such, you will become liberated. So again, this very short purport. Different types of sacrifice, as discussed above, right? We've gone over them again. They're all mentioned in the Vedas to suit the different types of worker, because not everybody is the same. Not everybody has the same inclination, or the same physical capacity, or even the same mental resolve. So there are different sacrifices recommended for different types of people, depending on what stage they are in their own development. And all of them have to be helped. Therefore, the Vedas offer different ways and means to be elevated. But the goal is one. What is the goal? Can anybody say? Although there may be different types of sacrifice, what is the ultimate goal of all of these types of sacrifice? Yeah, Krishna Prema. And if all of the different types of sacrifice are approved by the Vedas, that means it is the Vedas that is giving the direction. The Vedas that are pointing to the goal. And what does Krishna say? He says, Matasmityar Gyanam Apohanam Cha Vedaishcha Sarvayar Ahameva Vedyo Vedantakud Veda Vedeva Chaham. He says, by all the Vedas I am to be known. By all the Vedas, all of them, I am to be known. Krishna says, and I am the knower of the Vedas, and I am the compiler of the Vedanta. So all of these sacrifices that are approved by the Vedas are meant to elevate one to the ultimate point of knowing God, meeting Him, and loving Him. Srila Prabhupada writes, because men are so deeply absorbed in the bodily concept, these sacrifices are so arranged that one can work either with the body, the mind, or the intelligence. But all of them are recommended for ultimately bringing about liberation from the body. Right, that's the whole point. To bring about liberation from this material body, so that one can go to Krishna in his spiritual abode. This is confirmed by the Lord herewith from his own mouth. Right, Krishna says, knowing all of these different types of sacrifice meant for different types of people who have different types of disposition, knowing them as such, you will become liberated. That's the result. Any questions? We have a couple of minutes. Any questions on? Yes, Manaji.
So you said that we need to practice control to be able to perform the yajnas. But getting that control on its own is a very difficult part. So how do you suggest that we practice control and then ultimately be able to reach Krishna?
Yes. So we have these senses, and they demand engagement, right? So they're demanding us in so many ways. See this, hear that. All right, I want to taste something nice. I want to smell something very fragrant. The senses drag us in all kinds of directions, and there's no shortage of things to be focused on in this material world, right? And some of the things that we could be focused on are bad for us, right? Like I was speaking. Yeah, if one is focused on getting some intoxicating substance, that won't help you. So how to control? The senses are like snakes, they're like serpents, they're constantly harassing me, demanding attention. How to control them? Well, the simple answer is that you have to divert these senses to the Lord's service. Right? Hrishikena, Hrishikesha Sevanam. That is bhakti. So only by bhakti, only by devotional service can you control your senses. They're not controllable otherwise. If you try to sit avoiding all the things that are bad for you, you'll fail. You'll be forced to run after your material desires. You'll be forced. The only way to control your rascal senses and your stupid mind, forgive me, right? We all have stupid mind telling us to go here and there. The only way to control these things is to give them better engagement. Therefore, Krishna says, Param Drishvan Nivartate. One can give up something of lower quality by experiencing something of higher taste, getting a higher taste. So when I experience the pleasure in engaging my senses, directing my senses to Krishna's service, when I get that experience, then automatically my senses are controlled. That's the only way to control the senses. Give them better work in Krishna's service. Okay? Shri Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So now we'll have Arati.
Shri Shri Radha Gokulanand ki, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna everyone. We'll be singing the Gaur Arati. The lyrics are on the screen above. I'll sing first and you can repeat after me. Ke bajayo jayo Gaura Chande Arati ko shobha Ke bajayo Baje Karatala.
Kore Shalama
preme gada gada. Shiva Shuka Narada Preme Gada Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivedanta Jaya Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivedanta Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Jai Vishnupada Paramhansha Ashtavtara Shata Sri Srimad Abhay Charanaruvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansha Ashtavtara Shata Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Brinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vashali Gaura Bhakta Brinda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Sham Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Sri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Sri Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Sri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Samavita Bhakta Brinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Yes, so we have Narsingha Pranam Mantra here on the screen. So we will be singing now. Please join us by looking at this. To sing. We're singing. Namaste Narasimhaya.
श्री नरसिंह देव भगवान की, श्री प्रहलाद महाराज की जय. Hare Krishna, we are going to continue the kirtan from now till 9:30. The next darshan would be open at 9 o'clock. So please stay with us if you can. Hare Krishna.
was.